We've been RVing in our RV for a little over a month now, and in that month, we've learned a lot of things.
So in this video, we're going to be sharing with you our first impressions of RVing. So if you're looking to get started soon, you'll know what to expect in that first couple weeks or months. We're Will and Jen. After selling RVs for years and being part of the Matt's RV Reviews team, we finally bought our own fifth wheel. We have big plans to travel the country this year and share our experience, so we hope you'll follow along. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. As we mentioned, in this video we're going to be sharing with you kind of our first impressions of RVing. And if you guys are new here, we're Will and Jen. We put a video out every Sunday and Wednesday. We try to, with Sunday being like a vlog and Wednesday being more helpful content like this. So if you're interested in more videos like that, make sure to subscribe. So it is a very rainy, cold day in Florida. We've been getting kind of abnormal weather for Florida in the winter, and so we're cooped up in the RV today, and we thought, why not share with you guys a video on just like when you first get started in RVing, like what are, like, you have this idea of what you expect it to be in your head. Are there things that like don't meet your expectations? Are there things that like wildly exceed your expectations? And I feel like we've come up with a list of some really good ones that I think if you haven't started RVing yet are like really good, just to like almost like know what to really expect, like the reality of it.
Before we kick it off, we did want to give a huge thank you to everybody who came out to the Tampa show. The Tampa show was crazy as always. It's one of my favorite shows. I mean, Florida during winter and an RV show, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
But there were some cold days. It was chaos. There was so much going on, and it was a lot of stress on the Match RV Reviews team and on us trying to get videos out and everything and trying to help people. But we wanted to thank each and every one of you who came by and said hi to us. Again, we were busy. Thank you for taking some time to stop and wait for a sec and say hi to us, and just all that means the world to us, and we really appreciate it. And honestly, that's why we do what we do, is for you guys, and meeting you is just like the icing on the cake. We just love it.
Yeah.
So.
And hopefully this video is helpful to some of you that bought at the show if this is your first RV, because you're probably going to be getting started soon. So you can watch this and kind of like get some tips for when you get started. So the first thing that we learned really quickly was how exhausting RV life is really depends on how fast you're moving.
Right.
And we learned that really early, because when we bought the RV, we were down in Florida in December, and we came down primarily to pick up the RV. But then what happened is it kept getting kind of like delayed for different reasons, which I know a lot of RVers are experiencing.
Yeah.
And so we were, getting the same experience that a lot of you are probably facing. And so it kept getting delayed. We kept staying in Florida longer and longer because we were like, we just want to pick up the RV and take it home. We had a trip to Aruba planned with his family for vacation, and we were like, we just want to bring it home and get it settled and parked, because we knew we had to come back down to Florida in January. In hindsight, we probably should have just waited to pick it up in January, but I think I was just so excited to get it that I just we were waiting it out.
Right.
So then what happened is it got really, really close to Christmas when it finally came in, and then so we wanted to book it home, basically.
Right.
So we wanted to get home and be with our family around Christmas time. So that drive home, we were literally like driving, staying somewhere one night, driving, staying somewhere the next night. We also had some tire issues and just other issues, which we'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. And then when we came back down to Florida in January, we spaced it out a little bit more, but still moving relatively fast. And now once we got down to Florida, we've had a couple stays now where we've stayed somewhere for like close to a week or more than a week. And that I've come to realize, like, that makes a world of difference for how tiring RV life can be, because every time you have to hook up the RV to go, or you have to get to a new campground and unhook the RV, to me that, and like of course the driving, that is the really exhausting part. Because obviously physically exhausting, you're going around doing all these things, dumping the tanks, putting the slides in, hooking up, but then also it's mentally exhausting because you're trying to be at the top of your game to make sure that you don't forget to do something when you're unhooking, and then
it can be a mess.
You do damage to your RV, I know, like, the day we drove away with the fifth wheel from the dealership, I left the handle out on the door, and we're going down the side of the road, and I see it, and so we had to pull over on the side of the road. So it's, like, stuff like that you're trying to, like, not forget. So mentally, it's wearing you out.
Right.
So the less you have to move locations, the more relaxing it is. So that's what I'll say. The first thing that we learned is just like, if you can travel, especially depending on the size of your rig. Obviously, if you're in a little van, that might be different. But if you're in, even if you're in a bigger motorhome or a towable, if you can stay somewhere for like several nights and space out the time you spend moving, the less you have to do that whole hooking up, unhooking process, the less you're driving. And also, like, the more I feel like you can really get settled into your rig, go and buy groceries, be able to cook, because you're like, okay, we're here for a while. Like, let me, like, take out my stuff. Like, I'm not in travel mode anymore. So that's the biggest thing we've learned is, like, planning your trip so that you can be in one spot for a little bit.
So next is it makes it much more sustainable and comfortable while traveling. So obviously, it's your house on wheels. So everything that you need is pretty much right there, either in your truck or in the RV. It's so nice to be able to, one time we blew the tire on the truck, and we were kind of waiting, trying to figure things out, trying to get new tires and everything. And it was so nice for Jen to be able to just go to the bathroom, which she had to one time. To be able to get, water and stuff for the dogs. So stuff like that, it makes it much easier. And once you get to somewhere, it's like you don't have to go in, check into a hotel, bring all your bags in and everything like that. And we really love that about RVing. It's just it's your own place. The dogs are comfortable. We're comfortable. We have food. And it's just, it's easier once you're at a campsite hooked up and, enjoying the rest of the day. Now, especially we have found with the dogs. So we feed our dogs a raw food diet, and for that you have to keep it all frozen. So it was such a pain before when we were going from hotel to hotel, and we had the dogs with us and their food and everything, because it's like you can only fit so much in the cooler, and you're constantly running out of food, and you got to find somewhere who carries that, because you can't switch them back and forth,
and you can't carry that much of it.
And you can't carry that much of it. Now we've probably got 3 or 4 bags in here, which will last us, probably 2 weeks, or maybe a week and a half, and it's great. And we could even fit more if we needed to. The dogs are much more comfortable when we get somewhere. You don't have to worry about finding a pet-friendly hotel, when the dogs need to go out for the last time at night, it was such a pain. Like, all right, get the dogs, get your shoes on, go all the way down the elevator, outside to the grassy area, where now it's like, even just to let them out, like at the end of the day, just for the quick potty break, it's like just, kind of let them out the front door and let them do their business. Right. So we have found that it's way more comfortable and sustainable to stay in the fifth wheel.
Yeah. And I can't tell you, like, how many times when we were working the show, when I would just, like, go back to the rig and get a snack, because, like, we have all our food here, when before you would have always been, like, you need something quick.
To the hotel.
What I mean is, like, you need quick food, so you have to go and eat at, go to a fast food restaurant. Right. It's like, and I genuinely don't want that. Yeah. So, like, to be able to come back and, like, have a yogurt, have a snack, like, have the food that you have in your rig to just, like, run by and, like, get a snack, like, I loved that at the Tampa show.
Right, and Jen made me breakfast a couple mornings when I was having to get out earlier for the show. And again, you wouldn't get that at a hotel. Yeah. And it was so nice because it's like, we get tired of eating out. And especially, I feel like breakfast, it makes me sick and it just starts the day off wrong. Yeah. But having a nice breakfast, a couple eggs or whatever was so nice. Mm-hmm. And so much healthier. Yeah. So.
All right, next thing that we've already been learning is that with RVing, compared to when you stay in hotels, you do have to plan a little bit further in advance with your bookings. So we were so used to, like, last year we traveled so much staying in hotels, and we got to a point where we were booking hotels like the day, the night that we were staying there, because you started to learn that, like, you don't have, for the most part, 99% of the time with hotels, you don't have to plan that far in advance because there's so many of them. Mm-hmm. And it's not hard to find, like, one room available in an area. Obviously that if you're in a more remote area, that's different. But most of the time, we didn't have any issues doing that. Mm-hmm. And quickly, we've learned with RVing, you have to plan where you're going to be and get that campground booked further ahead of time. Especially if you're in popular areas during, like, peak season. Right. So just to give you an example, we're down in Florida right now. It's January. This is peak season in Florida. And we're staying at a resort here in like Lakeland area, and we were talking that like, okay, we have to go to Orlando for some business stuff like next week, but it was kind of up in the air of like when we have to be there exactly. And finally I told Will, I was like, we're gonna have to book something, because we knew we had to check out here on Saturday. So I'm like, we need to book something starting Saturday night and estimate how long we'll be there, because we can't wait till like the day before to plan that. Because and as it was, I checked several campgrounds and they were booked up until I found one. So, you know, and then this is probably a little bit more of an extreme case being in Florida in January. But for example, New England in the fall, we saw this. We were having problems with even hotels in New England in the fall, and I'm sure campgrounds are very similar. So, especially if you're trying to go to areas that are like at times of years where they're really popular, a lot of people there, you may have to plan months in advance. You know, at least weeks in advance.
Yeah.
So, you know, just if you guys start RVing and you know, like, hey, in 9 months even, I want to be here and this is like peak season, like get that booked as soon as you can, because there are certain areas that will book up really far in advance.
Absolutely.
But then just like in general, as you're traveling in an RV, even if it's not peak, it's good to try to book out your travel plans a little bit more, because like as I was telling Will, if you're staying in a hotel and you know you got to check out that night and you don't have anything like for the next day, if you know, you can leave the hotel, you have your luggage, you get in your car, like it's not the end of the world, we'll find another hotel. But if we have to check out of this campground on Saturday and we're pulling this big rig, we can't just like not know where we're going with it. Like we can't just pull over on the side of the road or pull into a little shopping center and just hang out. Yeah, there are some exceptions. You can stay in a Walmart parking lot, but it's like when you're pulling a rig, you need to know where you're going.
For sure.
You know,
Absolutely.
and be really careful, or you could end up in, you know, a bad situation with it where it's hard to get out. So it's just more planning required. No last minute travel things. There are some stays like Walmart's.
Yeah, you could always do that as a
Cracker
backup.
Barrels, Harvest Host, where you could do as like an in-between. But still, I think it's good if you like kind of plan that out. Like, hey, we want to do this as an in-between night on our way to the next campground that we booked.
I agree. Yeah, we really learned that too, I think, at Fort Wilderness, because we didn't even realize it was a holiday weekend. And we were trying to extend. We were like, just one more night, that's all we need. You know what I mean? And not only did they not have any availability because we were in Orlando, we couldn't find an RV park in the area just for one more night, because we were supposed to have, we had plans to have dinner with a friend in the area. And so, yeah, that like really kind of opened our eyes, where it's like, hey, a couple days earlier, we probably would have been able to. But maybe not even. It might have even taken longer.
I mean, Fort Wilderness, again, is like one of those extreme things.
Yeah.
But still, it just, you know, it's just like the overall general theme here is like, if you're used to traveling where you're like staying at Airbnbs and hotels, be prepared that you have to plan with your RV stay further in advance than you would with that.
Absolutely, yep. So next thing that we found is it makes it much easier to incorporate healthy habits. This has been a huge goal for us for 2022, is just to work on losing weight, building a healthier lifestyle, and being more active. And you know, from a food aspect, it makes it so great because, again, last year we did a lot of traveling and we were always staying in hotels. And in hotels, you never have kitchens, and we were going out to eat so much.
It's so bad.
And it's so bad for you, especially. You know, it's so hard, especially when you're eating out, to make healthy choices.
And we like legit got tired of it. Like we did not enjoy it.
Yeah, we're like tired of eating now. What we found is with the RV, from a food aspect, you have all your own food in here. Typically, you can have access to a grill. You can cook in here. You have all your dishes and all your pots and pans. And already, I've noticed a big difference in our eating habits, and it's really, really been good for us. It makes it so quick and easy too. And you know, when you need a little snack or whatever, you got the whole pantry full. It's not like, oh, let's just, you know, go grab something unhealthy, go grab a donut or something while we're getting gas or whatever. It's like, hey, there's actually, like, we got fruit in here, we got vegetables, we got good snacks, you know, healthy snacks. So that's been awesome. And then also from an active point, rather than just staying in the hotel, it's like we always have the dogs with us now, and almost every day we're taking them for a walk. Today, did you do it this morning?
Yeah, I've been doing it in the
morning,
morning, but you know, because Will was so tired from the show, so he's just kind of like sleeping in a little bit. But it's like, part of it is like, I just want to walk them more.
Right.
Because, like,
check out the campground.
Yeah, we're staying in the campground.
RVs.
Yeah, it's just like fun to walk around. So it's like, I'm excited to take them out. Whereas when I'm a lot of times at hotels, obviously we had to like take them down to go to the bathroom.
Right.
But like your only option is like walking them in a circle around the hotel.
Yeah.
Because we're staying in areas where it's like it's just a parking lot. So it's like
usually like near busy streets and stuff. It's like you're not crossing around the road.
Yeah.
You just walk them around till they go to the bathroom, and it's not good for them either.
Right. Whereas, like, here at the campground, my parents are staying here right now in the cabin. So my mom and I have been meeting in the morning and, like, walking around the whole campground with the dogs. And it's just, like, such a nice way to start the day.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the dogs love it.
Yeah.
And so I've been getting a lot more steps in, being a lot more active. And then also I would say just, like, in general with RV life, like, it's like we're going outside to our campground or to our campsite more. Like we're just moving around more. We have the e-bike. We have an e-bike with us that I got for Christmas, and so it's like I love using that. It's just like it's not. We're not talking about extreme exercise here, but like the first step is just moving more.
Right.
And I feel like the nature of RV living is like getting you out, moving more,
for sure,
like not just like sitting on the couch all day. And so I found that like I'm a lot more active already, just like going about life.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so something else, kind of a negative thing, but honestly just like a reality for you guys to expect is especially if you buy a new RV, be prepared that the first like few weeks, if not few months, will be a process of working out the kinks. It's notorious that new RVs, the issues that they have, all these little issues that they have, will present themselves when you start using it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like little trim pieces will fall off. Oh, this isn't working. That's not working. Or like the first thing that happened with us is we had a lot of tire issues.
Covered for a tire change to a good mounted spare.
Mm-hmm. The first big thing that happened was our truck tire blew out when we were towing it back home to Maryland for the first time. And that was likely the fact that we thought the tires were good on the truck. We now think that the service guy we worked with was kind of mistaken with how the quality of the tires.
For sure.
But the moral of it is like obviously that tire wasn't like prepared to take that pin weight, and that first bit of stress that's when it showed that that's when it blew. And then you'll have the same thing in the RV. It's like we haven't had really any major issues with the RV, but there are little things that happen, and you make note of it so that when next time you get in for service, you can fix this and that. But it's like that stuff works itself out in the beginning because that's when the RV's going and it's getting used. It's like this is the first time it's getting used. So just be prepared, like especially if this is your first RV and you're just getting going. People that are new, like we've known to expect it because we've been in the RV industry. Right. But I think a lot of people get disappointed when they start RVing because they're like, oh, this stuff's breaking.
Right. And they expect it to be like a car. Like you drive a car off the lot and you don't expect it to have issues. It's a brand new car. But, that's just not the reality with RVs. They and even aside from when you first drive it off, I mean, there's always little things that come up. Everything's being shaken, going down the road, at 60 miles an hour for miles and miles. And, the roads are rough on it. So things do happen. And if you go into the mindset, it's like make yourself like under expect so that when little things pop up you're like, oh, that wasn't so bad, rather than having your expectations really, really high, thinking like, well, I paid a lot of money, everybody told me this is a great brand, and so I'm never going to have any issues, because then at the first little thing that happens, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, and then every little thing after that is going to be more and more and more. So it's just more of a mental thing, like, hey, go into it given that expectation that little things are going to come up here and there.
And I think honestly, like, we knew to expect that, like I said, because we've been in the RV industry, we've heard stories and stuff. And so the things that have happened to us so far, I was actually proud of how well we handled it instead of being so worked up and so frustrated and upset and everything. Right. And we kind of just rolled with it and like, hey, RV,
it is what it is,
like we knew this was probably going to happen. And then like it hasn't tainted our RV experience because we didn't let it. Right. Because there's so many positives to RVing.
Oh yeah.
We love so much of it that it's like if you get held up on when the bad things happen every now and then, it taints your whole experience. One like tip we can give you guys is like one of the number one things that you should be spending money on when it comes to your RV is RV safety stuff.
Yes.
So for example, tire pressure monitoring system.
Right.
We have one that we're going to install on ours and everything. Keep so like
Cameras.
Yeah, cameras. Having good chocks, like have like all of that stuff, because it having tools. So if, like that's something that actually we weren't probably great about, is like just being able to quickly like take off a tire and put on the spare. But so it's like the more and more you can plan ahead and have as much of that stuff, so when something does go wrong, you can address it a lot easier. That will reduce your like frustration and headache with the issue.
Yep.
All right, so to wrap up this video, the number one thing that we've taken from our first month RVing is that RV living is so much simpler and happier than, in our opinion, like when we were living in a house.
Yeah.
I remember we still have a house, but it's like we've spent we spent so much time in the RV, and what I've already seen is that I'm not spending all this time thinking about, I have this empty room that has to be furnished because it's just empty. What rug should I get in here? I gotta spend a day cleaning the whole house because there's like all these rooms. Like there's so many things that when you live in a home that I feel like just take away from life, I guess, and just enjoying life and experiences. And it's very focused on material items. And what you learn when you get in an RV is like you don't have a lot of room for stuff. You have to be very limited in what you bring with you. So it forces you to be really selective about the stuff that you have. And you start to realize, like, if you come from living in a house to living in an RV, that the amount of kitchen stuff you have in a house that you don't actually need.
Right.
But
so true.
you have a lot more cabinets. So you fill the cabinets with stuff that you don't need. And then you feel the kind of like mental weight of the clutter. In an RV, you just don't have the space to put that stuff, so you can't. And so it almost like feels like this weight off of me of like what has to be brought in here and everything, because there's just not room for it. And so what I found is we just really focus on the experiences and not the material items. And I'm just much happier living that way.
Yeah, I agree. It's taught us so much to just live life and not worry about those things. I think, just go out, enjoy the experience, go do something, get out of the house type of thing. And I've really come to enjoy that a lot as well. And using the RV as a tool to get out, enjoy life, see the country, and see so many new things and have so many more opportunities than we had before. So I love that about it.
Yeah, I love RV life. So as you guys see, there's been ups and downs, but it's like I wouldn't even call it downs. I would just call it like learning experiences.
Right.
Where the key is like having the right expectations about what RV life will be like, and hopefully this video helps with that. And then also just like dealing with it in a positive way where you're not letting yourself get so worked up and frustrated, because quite honestly, if you have negative experiences when you live in a house too. It's like no matter how you live your life, you're gonna have times when like something happens that's like, this like really pisses me off. But it's all about how you deal with it. I think the positives of RV life so much more outweigh the negatives. And I know we're just excited. We've enjoyed the first month of RV living, and we're just excited for the rest of the year, and spending as much time as we can in the RV, going to some really cool places, and giving you guys, more information about, and feedback about what our experience is like. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video. If you're getting into RVing soon, congratulations.
Yes.
Hope this video was helpful just to set your expectations right. And if you guys are new to our channel, like I mentioned earlier, we do a video every Sunday and Wednesday. Wednesday videos will be like this, kind of more like helpful content, and Sundays are vlogs of our life. Yep. And so definitely make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to keep up with us.
Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
The crucial discuss. We bing bong bong. Use the bathroom. I'm like.